welcome to our class podcast. Today we are taking you back over 100 years to one of the most dramatic moments in Dundalk's history. In 1922, Dundalk jail escape.
This escape involved bombs, daring plans, and over 100 prisoners running through the streets at dawn. It all happened right there in our town.
Let's start by setting the scene.
Ireland in 1922. This year was 1922, and Ireland was going through a very tough time. The Irish Civil War had taken a grip of the country.
Two groups of Irish people were fighting: the Free State forces, who supported the new government created by the Anglo-Irish Treaty. The Free States forces were led by Michael Collins and Arthur Griffith. Anti-treaty Republicans who believed the treaty didn't give Ireland full freedom. Eamon de Valera was the political leader of the anti-treaty side. He was supported by Cathal Brugha, Frank Aiken from Dundalk, and every female member of the Dáil, including Countess Markievicz.
Local newspapers were full of stories about shootings, attacks, and arrests. Ordinary people were worried every day about what might happen next. When the Free State Army entered Dundalk in July 1922, they arrested many anti-treaty supporters. They imprisoned their anti-treaty enemies in what is now called the Old Jail, which is located behind the guard station on the Ardee Road. The jail was packed with nearly 300 prisoners.
Part 2. Planning the escape. Outside the prison walls, the anti-treaty IRA were planning something daring, a breakout. Two men, Ivor Monaghan and Malachy Quinn, had to plan the bombing. Malachy Quinn and John McCoy gathered the explosives. Another volunteer, Padraig Quinn, led a small unit who prepared dynamite to break open the wall. Their goal was to rescue their commander, Frank Aiken, a well-known IRA leader who had been captured.
And they weren't just going to save Aiken, they hoped to free over 100 prisoners in one blow.
Part 3. The morning of the explosion. It was early on a Thursday morning, the 27th of July 1922. Most people in Dundalk were still asleep. A group of men gathered quietly near the jail wall on the Ardee Road. They placed a gelignite bomb on the ground, supported by wooden planks. An electrical wire ran from the bomb to the pole.
The blast smashed windows across the road, shook houses like a small earthquake, and sent stones flying high into the air.
The Dundalk Democrat later wrote that the explosion made a big gap in the wall, smashed the glass of the infirmary.
Hospitals shook, houses rattled, and people all over town jumped out of bed wondering what had happened.
Part 4. 105 men run for freedom. Almost immediately, prisoners began pouring out through the enormous hole, more than 105 men.
Frank Aiken was among the first. Others included John McCoy, Malachy Quinn, Ivor Monaghan, Padraig Quinn, Alfred Mahan, the Kirwan brothers, and Jim Dunn.
Some ran towards Carnford, others to Kilkee or Ardee. Locals watched in shock as groups of men sprinted past.
Free State soldiers began the chase. Shots were heard at Castletown Cross, Barracks Street Bridge.
Two soldiers were wounded in the fighting, and about 50 escapees were recaptured within hours, but many got away and stayed away. Part 5. Aiken strikes back.
The escape gave the anti-treaty side a major boost, and they didn't stop there. Aiken led a large attack on Dundalk. His troops used more bombs to break into army barracks. For a short time, they captured the entire town.
But the Free State forces soon returned and retook Dundalk. The jail continued to hold political prisoners, and the Civil War dragged on into 1923.
What happened to the escapees? Many of the men who escaped that day went on to remarkable lives. Frank Aiken. Aiken later became Chief of Staff of the IRA, then entered politics with Fianna Fáil. He became Minister for Defence and represented Ireland at the United Nations. He died in 1983 at the age of 81.
John McCoy. McCoy continued IRA activity for years. He died in 1971. Sean Murray, another escapee. He became a leading member of the Communist Party of Ireland and died in 1980.
Dermot Lynch, a senior member of the IRB, he escaped, later moved to the United States and lived there until his death in 1950.
Others, many escapees returned home quietly after the war. Some immigrated, some continued political work, and sadly some were recaptured shortly after their escape.
Part 7, How Dundalk Remembered It. The Dundalk Democrat reported that nothing like this explosion had ever been heard in the town before. It smashed windows, dented walls, frightened hospital patients, and left a massive hole in the jail wall. People talked about it for weeks. The boom, the broken glass, the soldiers on the streets, the daring escape, and the dramatic chase across the countryside.
It was one of the most extraordinary events in Dundalk history, and it all happened in one morning.
Part 8, Why this story still matters. The Dundalk jail escape shows how the Civil War affected every corner of Ireland, even small towns like ours.
It reminds us that history isn't just dates and battles. It's people, prisoners desperate for freedom, soldiers doing their duty, families living in fear, and ordinary citizens watching their town shake from an explosion.
More than a century later, the story still captures our imagination. It's part of who we are.
Thank you for listening to our podcast on the Dundalk jail escape of 1922. We hope you enjoyed learning about this dramatic moment in our town's past.